But what if I told you the reason your life hasn't changed yet, despite all the books you've read, videos you've watched, and promises you've made, is simple? You accept too much and demand too little from yourself. You don't need more motivation. You need to change one essential pattern. If you do it now, your life can start transforming in days, not years. If your life keeps repeating the same problems, frustrations, and invisible limitations, it's not bad luck. It's your pattern. It's what you silently accept and tolerate without realizing it. And what you tolerate exactly defines the life you live. There's no point dreaming of an extraordinary life if daily you accept the minimum, do the basics, and justify yourself saying, "At least I'm trying." The truth nobody wants to hear is this: life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you tolerate. Sounds harsh? It is, but also liberating. Because this means, if you change what you tolerate, you change the life you live. If you stop making concessions to what weakens you, you start moving toward what you truly desire. Most people live in this invisible limbo between what they dream of and what they tolerate, and get stuck there. They try to convince themselves the problem is the world, government, economy, others. But the problem is the silence you keep every time you settle, sabotage yourself, and diminish who you are. Think now, what have you been tolerating that keeps you exactly where you are? Maybe it's that debt you push with a heavy heart, the relationship you know has gone too far, the body you promise to care for but always put off, or the job that drains your soul, but you insist on calling safe. How many times have you accepted mediocrity with a tired smile? How many times have you told yourself just one more time, knowing this last time has become routine? Why does this happen? Because it's easy to get used to it, easy to go on autopilot, easy to repeat patterns that seem normal just because most people live that way. Here's a direct question. Do you want average or transformation? You can't have both. Napoleon Hill said, "You are the sum of your dominant thoughts." But most forget that your thoughts are shaped by your patterns, and your patterns are shaped by your daily decisions. When you wake up, how you react to problems, the words you use when alone. Think about it. If I followed you for 1 week without you knowing, what would I see? Would you be aligned with your dreams or making small concessions disguised as normal life? No need to answer out loud. Your daily routine shouts the answer. Want an example? Imagine 2 men. The first wakes late, checks his phone immediately, skips breakfast, arrives late at work, and spends the day reacting. The second wakes early, makes his bed, writes down 3 goals for the day, walks for 10 minutes, and starts his day with purpose. Which of the 2 do you think will be closer to his goals after 30 days? Now ask yourself, which one do you resemble more today? It all starts there. It's not about taking big steps, but about stopping to tolerate what is holding you back. Changing a fundamental habit can be as simple as getting out of bed at the right time. But this small decision sets off a domino effect that transforms everything around you. Your thoughts, your energy, your decisions, and inevitably your outcomes. Napoleon Hill experienced this firsthand in the year 1908. At 25 years old, he had the opportunity to interview the richest man in the world at that time, Andrew Carnegie. At the end of their conversation, Carnegie challenged Hill to spend the next 20 years interviewing America's most successful men with no financial guarantee. Hill had only 60 seconds to decide, and he accepted, not because it was easy, but because he had a standard: to act courageously when others hesitate. This decision changed his life and the lives of thousands more. Now here's a question for you. What have you been tolerating that stops you from saying yes to life's opportunities? Are you accepting less because you think you deserve less? Or are you afraid to demand more from yourself and fail? Be honest, because this is the turning point. Imagine for a moment that you decide to change just one habit. Let's say, I will no longer break my personal promises. That alone forces you to reconsider how you handle your word, your time, and your goals. You will start to notice the impact of every small choice. And that changes everything. In the first days, it will feel uncomfortable, the steps small, but then comes the miracle of consistency. Small, high standards create great changes, and the opposite is true too. Small tolerances lead to big frustrations. So here's the challenge. Today, write down 3 things you have silently tolerated and choose 1 to eliminate. Only 1 for 7 days. Commit to yourself. Set a reminder on your phone. Mark it on your bathroom mirror. Record an audio for yourself. Do whatever it takes, but don't accept anymore what destroys you in pieces. If you don't define what is unacceptable in your life, the world will do it for you. And the world is harsh to those who live without standards. Want respect? Start respecting yourself. Want to prosper? Stop accepting emotional, mental, and financial misery as a phase. People get distracted by social media, take it out on others, and give up on everything they were trying to build, as if a single stumble allowed chaos. And they call this a hard day. But what if that same day, instead of ending in self-sabotage, was a day of silence, reflection, writing and reading, a strategic withdrawal where even pain has order? Sounds idealistic? That's exactly what separates those who change their lives from those stuck in the cycle of stagnation. Imagine you start raising your baseline. Your worst day is no longer lost. It's the day when even without energy, you keep your word. You still read a page, write a line, act with dignity, a change that seems small but is incredibly powerful. Because what transforms your life isn't your best days, but your worst. The ones that show if you're just excited or truly committed to success. Here comes the most neglected concept of personal transformation. Your minimum standard, which shapes an identity that holds even in pain. Usually we collapse, surrender to weakness, but the extraordinary happens when you choose not to go down, even when everything around tries to pull you under. Maybe you wonder, what if I have no energy? What if I'm exhausted? I'm not a machine. Right, fatigue is natural, collapse is optional. A hard day doesn't mean you must destroy everything you've built. You can train your brain to act out of habit, not emotion. This isn't philosophy. It's neuroscience. Repeating behavior, even with low energy, strengthens brain circuits linked to discipline, resilience, and focus. You create an automatic reserve of strength, and it doesn't come from motivation, but from silent commitment to your own code. Think of elite athletes. What makes them amazing isn't what they do when inspired, but what they keep doing when tired, in pain, under pressure. Now think about your worst day. If it remains productive and aligned with who you want to be, the world can hit you with everything and you won't fall because you're already prepared for it. Kobe Bryant, for example, trained at 4 in the morning while others slept, not because he felt inspired every day, but because he knew if he raised his minimum standard, even his bad would surpass most people's good. Your minimum standard. What you will never accept doing again, even on bad days. This will set your new limit. When the ground rises, everything rises together. What would happen if you improved your worst day by only 20%? What if, instead of losing control, you chose a more conscious reaction? If instead of giving up on yourself, you decided at least to hold the base? Perhaps your life would change by 200%. The impact of a higher minimum standard accumulates. And this silent consistency creates a strength that no obstacle can overthrow. You no longer need to wait for a perfect day to act like a better version of yourself. You must decide that even on imperfect days, you are still worthy of the life you want to build. This is the difference between those who wish and those who achieve, between those who dream and those who transform. Remember, you don't rise as high as you want. You fall as low as you tolerate. If you want to change your life, start now. Raise your worst day. From it, your new story begins. Look around now. Stop and observe your environment. Every object, every detail, every corner of your home or workplace tells a story. What story is this space telling about you? Your environment is not neutral. It's not just a backdrop. It is a mirror. More than that, it is an invisible reinforcement system shaping your behavior without you realizing it. The truth is simple. What you allow around you shapes what you allow inside you. If your desk is messy, your bed unmade, and your schedule chaotic, then your mind is working at the same pace. No matter how much you try with willpower, goals, or promises, the environment keeps pulling you back to the old pattern. Around you are signs saying, this is what you accept. Psychology has the concept of priming, meaning the environment directly influences your decisions, emotions, and focus. Even if you don't consciously notice, a messy desk slows you down. A disorganized room drains your energy. A visually chaotic routine reinforces the lack of control inside you. Here is something even deeper. When you allow yourself to live in an environment that weakens you, you silently declare that this is what you believe you deserve. This is the standard you accept. This is the most dangerous, because this becomes your identity. And once identity takes root, it determines all other decisions. Now imagine another scene, an environment where everything has purpose. The desk is clean, the books are within reach, the chair invites focus. The walls carry visual reminders of your purpose. You enter this space, and something inside you changes. Your posture changes, your energy rises, your mind understands. Here, I am demanding of myself. It's not about perfectionism, it's about intention. You create around you an atmosphere that lifts you up, not one that keeps you down. Remember Napoleon Hill? When he began working on the project that would become Think and Grow Rich, he created a discipline structure starting with the environment. His office was a sanctuary of silence and focus. His materials were always ready, his routine visually organized. Why? Because he understood his environment had to align with the greatness of what he wanted to build. He understood that a strong mind cannot thrive in an environment that communicates mediocrity. Think with me. What message does your environment send you every day? What do your eyes see first when you wake up? A messy bed or a space that invites you to act with excellence? When you enter your workplace, what do you find? Visual confusion or clarity of intention? Studies from Princeton University show that disorganized visual environments compete with your attention. This means that external clutter consumes your ability to think clearly, directly affecting your productivity, focus, and even your self-esteem. You start your day already fighting against your own environment, and that tires you out. It undermines your willpower, it steals your potential. That is why many high-performing leaders are obsessive about their spaces. Steve Jobs, for example, had a minimalist office, clean, almost empty, not for aesthetics, but for strategy. He understood that excessive external stimuli cause internal confusion, and confusion does not match greatness. Now you may be thinking, but this is just a detail. It doesn't change my life. That is where the mistake lies. What seems small is actually the foundation. If you are not demanding with your space, you will hardly be demanding with your habits. And if your habits are loose, your results will be mediocre. Do you want to build something great? Start by creating a space that demands that from you. Here is a simple but powerful action. Today, choose one place, your desk, your bed, your digital planner, and make that space a reflection of the future you want to live. Remove what does not serve. Organize what matters. Add visual symbols that remind you of your high standard. It can be a phrase, a painting, an object that inspires you. And as you do this, notice how your behavior begins to change almost automatically. Your environment can be your silent ally or your invisible saboteur. It can pull you towards discipline or bury you in procrastination. The choice is yours. Remember, every person who builds something lasting starts with the foundation. And your environment is that foundation. Around you is a mirror reflecting exactly the level of standard you have set for yourself. Raise that reflection, and everything within you will begin to rise along with it. Do not wait to succeed to act like someone successful. Start now, making your space worthy of the life you want to achieve. And when you do this, even your silence will begin to work in your favor. There are people who, when they enter a space, don't need to raise their voice or impose authority. They simply arrive, and everything changes. The environment changes. The attitude of people changes. Respect is almost automatic. It is not because they are famous, nor because they have money. It is because they have something most do not: a code, an internal standard. A silent conviction expressed in every attitude, every word, every silence. They are not trying to impress. They are simply being. And this being is so coherent, so aligned, so strong, that it becomes magnetic. Now imagine deciding today a simple code, something direct you can repeat every day until it becomes part of you. For example, I finish what I start, or I act with courage even when I am afraid, or I act with excellence even without recognition. Now think about the impact of this over a week, a month. Over the course of 1 year, whenever doubt arises, you stand firm. You remember this is your code. When laziness tries to speak louder, you ignore it because it doesn't align with the person you've chosen to be. Like a carpenter sharpening his tools every morning, even when tired. No one is watching, no one will praise him. But he does it because he knows a dull blade builds crooked houses. So he sharpens. This is what he does. This is who he is. The code comes before the work and ensures that even when things go wrong, the man remains true to himself. Here is a hard but necessary truth. Until you have your own code, you will keep living as a reflection of your environment. If the day is good, you feel good. If someone praises you, you act better. If criticized, you stay silent. That's not identity, it's conditioning. You become a puppet of circumstances. But when you write, live, and defend your code, you become a rock in the middle of the storm. You don't react, you hold steady, and that alone places you among those the world respects, even if it doesn't understand. It's not about being perfect, but about being consistent. The world doesn't need more speeches, it needs examples. And the most powerful example you can give is to live by a standard that does not bend to convenience. Integrity upheld in silence echoes louder than any shouted word. Napoleon Hill experienced this when challenged by Andrew Carnegie, who asked him to dedicate 20 years of his life to an uncertain mission, without salary, guarantees, or immediate recognition, with only the promise that persistence could change millions of lives. Hill had 60 seconds to decide and said yes, not because he knew the outcome, but because he knew who he was. His code was clear: act with faith, even in uncertainty. This choice shaped his destiny and the destiny of millions around the world. Now I ask you, what is your code? What decision have you made that no longer depends on your mood, fear, or others' opinions? If you are still waiting to feel ready, you're wasting time. The most powerful decisions in your life will not come from emotion, but from commitment. If you don't have a code yet, start small. Choose a phrase, a truth you look at and say, "This is non-negotiable for me," and live by it every day. Especially when it's hard and no one is watching, because that is where character is shaped. Over time, you won't need to remember the phrase because it will no longer be written on paper but in your conduct. This is true strength. Not the strength that shouts, but the one that sustains, guides, and builds a legacy. You don't need to promise anyone anything, just keep what you decided with yourself. And in the end, that separates those who leave a mark from those who shape a generation. Your standard. When you decide firmly and quietly what you no longer accept from yourself, your life begins to reorganize. People around you change, opportunities appear, even your thoughts take a new direction. Because everything in your life responds to the standard you set, not what you wish, but what you demand. If something inside you has awakened until now, then you are ready to climb another step. The next video appearing on your screen now will expand your awareness even further and help you evolve, even if by 1% each day, and that constant 1% can completely transform who you are and where you are going. Thank you for being here with me on this journey. I'll see you there.